Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling. I shall see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today in maybe as late as you can be before the day ticks over, I suppose, to a new day. If you don't know, today's a Mid-Autumn Festival, so Jungchulja Kwaila, for all of you who celebrate it. And if you don't celebrate it, I formally invite you, kind of late, I suppose, to celebrate it. You know, now where you can do the greatest thing, which is look at the moon and then, if I recall, it's basically sort of like a Chinese Thanksgiving where you look at the moon and be thankful for everyone you have. Mid-Autumn Festival, like friends, family, or something. I think loved ones or like romantic partners too. I can't quite remember. Gathering, giving thanks, and praying. Yeah, that's right. Good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 11:57 p.m. on Friday, September 29th, 2023. So yeah, Mid-Autumn Festival. I've spoken about it before. I probably called the episode like Mid-Autumn Festival, or I called it like Mooncakes or something like that. So we're not going to go into it again today, but I don't know what hello Flick. I don't know what conversation we can go on today. I guess we can go back to holiday talk. We had a break yesterday where I don't even remember what I spoke about, to be perfectly honest, pain tolerance or something. I don't remember where I got up to last time, but it's good because I don't really have a conversation topic in mind, so I'm just going to scroll along until I find what we spoke about last time. What was the last thing I spoke about? I don't remember, to be honest. It was very much not stuck in my head. We talked about National Park, right? Yeah, that sounds about right. Going swimming. I mentioned a Vibrata, Scampi, Catamaran. I do remember this. There's like water area, swimming in a lake. Rowan, what you're thinking about? Let me know what's on your mind. You wanna move islands? I must say that's absolutely not. You can't go. Table tennis. The next big thing is a wine tour. That's a good thing to talk about. Oh, someone lost their diary as well. So basically, the long and short of it is we went on a wine tour in Croatia. A small group of us. So it's about 6 of us in total. So that's either Lily or Fawners, who I don't think we can return to them because they are probably asleep right now. But so I'd do it tomorrow. But yeah, we went on a wine tour outside of Dubrovnik sort of area. We drove. Well, we didn't drive. We got picked up by the people who actually ran the service for tour, I guess. And because it makes sense, I suppose, if you're going to go on a wine tour, you're going to want to drink wine. You should definitely not be drinking alcohol. So you should not be driving while under the influence of alcohol. So they pick you up and then they take you to the places. So he took us to like 3 wineries outside of Dubrovnik. I think they're all relatively close to a city called Ston, is what I remember. Ston is where they had the long wall, which is the Great Wall of China. No, sorry, it's not the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall of China is in China, not in Croatia. They had the wall, which was meant to be the second longest wall in the world, second to the Great Wall of China. Is it actually? Don't know. I'm pretty sure I looked that up and it wasn't. But whatever. Who cares? To be perfectly honest, it's a cool story. And they also had like a salt farm, which I don't remember what was significant about the salt farm. In my head, he said it was like the oldest salt farm in Croatia or something, which is still pretty cool. I mean, I never really considered salt farm. Man, my head looks great in that photo. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying, but we went on a wine tour, which is not something I've done before. You might be like, hey dear darling, what do you think about wine? How much do you like drinking alcohol in general? I would say, in general, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. I'm not like crazy for alcohol, but I'm basically for it in the sense that it's a social activity, which I'm for. It's sort of a weird combination because like I'm very willing to like drink, eat, and taste anything, and it doesn't matter to me really that much. So when it comes to alcohol, I don't really mind. I'll drink anything. I don't have like a refined palate in the sense of like a sommelier or anything. But I do. I basically enjoy the social aspect of it more than anything. I never drink by myself. It's amusing because I certainly have a reputation with my friend group for drinking wine and that sort of thing. But that's mainly because my family tends to drink a lot of alcohol. coupled by the fact we have high tolerance and, you know, my family enjoys it. Myself, I'm like, I don't really care. I enjoy the taste of like some of these alcohols and some I don't, because I mean at the end of the day they are just food and drink, you know. Some I do like and some I don't, but overall I'm not particularly fussed about many of them in general. Like if they were just all gone from my life, I would be like, okay, fine. But it's like a social sort of activity in the first place. As long as you drink in moderation. I must stress, please, okay, if you're underage, don't drink, but you know, when's it ever stopped someone from you know, I think saying don't drink has never stopped a teen from, you know, drinking. So if you do drink, please drink responsibly and make sure someone, you know, is able to look after you. That's my advice. So, you know, don't go hard. Don't go like extremely hard. But know your limits. Be reasonable. Be sensible with yourself. Understand yourself. Be honest with yourself, and that sort of thing. But yeah. So obviously, drink responsibly. Yeah, I'm not like crazy. It's weird because I definitely drink like one of the most, probably the highest quantity of one of the highest quantity of wines out of my circle of friends. But that is very much just due to social drinking. But the amount I drink, and I don't think I've ever like drunk alcohol just on my own. You know, I feel like it's a very sort of common thing to do, being like, oh, you know, like stressed out from the afternoon or something, I'm just gonna have a glass of wine or something to like cool off and unwind. I literally don't think I've ever done that, which is might be weird to say. I don't know if any of my friends will end up watching this video, but that might be weird to hear. But no, I don't think I've ever drunk an alcohol by myself. It's always, you know, going to a club or, you know, with like a gathering or something like that, then I'll be drinking alcohol or an alcoholic beverage of some sort. Yeah. But anyway, long and short of it is we went on a wine tour. Again, I'm not a sommelier, so I cannot tell you the difference between, like, I mean, I can vaguely tell you the difference between dry and sweet, but I'm not very good at identifying them in the first place. I can only identify them in comparison. You know, I said this before, my taste buds aren't amazing or anything, or very particularly refined. I don't really know what the fruity, nutty, etc., spicy flavours sort of taste like, unless, again, I compare it to someone else, or someone else says it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so that's what that flavour is, but then I immediately forget it. I don't know what tannin is. That's another sort of like wine tasting term. But basically, long and short of it is like I've simultaneously have a reasonable amount of like sommelier knowledge, but also none at the same time. But you know, it basically just seemed like a cool activity. I was like, you know, I drink a reasonable amount of wine. It would be cool to learn things. And Croatia, I don't know, like where Croatia ranks in like the winemaking sort of like countries. Obviously, I mean, you get like France and like Spain, pretty up there, etc., etc. I don't know where Croatia ranks, but I do know that Croatia's winemaking industry recently is a lot more newer because, as I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, I didn't know, but we basically had a big war. Before, which ended up like destroying a lot of the wineries. So a lot of the wineries are like less than 100 years old or something, compared to, you know, probably ones in France, which might be like a millennia. No way, new item? Backyard lawn, wild. Don't quote me on that, by the way. I don't know how old wineries generally are, but I was like, it'd be a cool experience. So yeah, and it was quite like educational, as they say, because there's this part in Croatia where there's like a mountain ridge sort of dividing, not the entire country, but like one region to another, and they have the same wine, the same grape species growing on either side, but because of a different topological environment, I suppose, of a country, the like weather, the humidity, etc., is different. So the grapes actually kind of grow up differently. Like on one side, I can't remember which side's which, but one side they grow up like considerably smaller, I suppose, and it was like more concentrated or sweeter, I can't remember, than the other side. And then the wines actually do taste different from what I recall. I can't tell you what they tasted like because I don't remember, but I remember tasting one and tasting the other, and it was like, wow, these are actually like surprisingly different. So that was for like that was the first like winery we stayed off at. It was actually quite educational, if anything. And they also gave us a rosé, which is one of the weirdest rosés I've ever tasted. That's what I remember. The things I remember is I remember saying, this is a very strange rosé, and I was like, it tastes like metal. And the other thing I remember saying is discussing with a friend and being like, if you told me this was a rosé, unless you told me this was a rosé, I would have thought this would be like a really strange red wine. I can sort of like vaguely remember its taste, and I just remember it being very, very strange. I cannot tell you what a rosé was, and I was very tempted to buy it, you know, just to bring home with my family, just to be like, yo, check out this crazy not red wine, rosé, which is just like a, we might as well just give it so we can just figure out if it's Fawn or Lilies, because again, we will not be able to return it. What? Okay, I always get that plan event confused. I always think that's a normal villagers. Vivian's photo, okay. I always think that's a normal villagers planner, but I guess meticulously planned down to detail is not just a normal villager exclusive. Oh, we have a lot like of these missions we can do over beach. We definitely should have done this one on Nookmar's Island, but I just didn't pay attention to it and mainly forgot. Yeah, so the first wine like the place we stopped at was very educational, if anything. A little hiccup we had is the fact that basically all these places only take cash, and it was like, okay, we don't have that much cash. Like, I had some cash, but most of the cash I used to pay actually for wine tour, to pay for things which needed cash, like the taxi the previous day. So I had basically like no cash left. A friend had some cash, and like another friend a bit of cash, and we were just like, okay, we have 2 winery places to go to. We've got to figure out how how much cash we have for it to exactly work, but it was okay. The first one we all managed to get like what we wanted, I think, and then the second one, you know, one of my friends drove down to the ATM. Oh, well, got driven down to ATM to withdraw a load of cash, and we just like bought to our heart's content. But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. So that first one was education. I cannot remember what these like winery places were called, but yeah, I'm sure if you just like searched, if you wanted to go on the exact same one, you could just search like wine tour Dubrovnik or something, you'd probably find it. I don't know how many there necessarily are. So it's very educational. They also gave us some like snacks to eat while drinking. The snacks I'm used to eating while drinking tend to be was very common, and I don't know if it's particularly a Chinese thing necessarily, but it's just like what our family does is like we'll have nuts, we have some savoury things, sometimes we have crisps, and by sometimes I mean most of the times because I like crisps. The crisp was just easy to eat, but most of the times it's like nuts, like salted nuts, peanuts, walnuts, or sesame seeds. That's sorry, not sesame seeds, sunflower seeds. That's a very common one as well. Sunflower seeds, a very, very common snack in China at least. I'm sure in the West too, but yeah, like these sort of things. But apart from that, like the ones that I remember having in Croatia was arancini, which is like a candied orange peel, or it might have been lemon peel in the other winery, I don't remember. Candied almonds, and I think candied walnuts, and there was also quince jelly, and something called like a wine cake, which is basically just sort of wine baked into a cake, which is the wildest thing. Oh wow, okay. Because it actually tasted very good. I didn't buy any to bring back home, like another friend did, and I definitely should have, because it was actually quite interesting, I thought. But no, instead I bought a wine. Hold on. Dingak. I think that's what like the grape is called, the Croatian one, if I recall. Anyway, so we had that, and then we went to the second like winery place, which was cool because we actually got to sort of like see behind the scenes, like the actual winery tankards themselves. They were all steel tankards, or some sort of metallic ones. I don't really remember, rather than being like these oak barrels. I guess they come afterwards, and we got to like pour ourselves a glass of wine directly from the barrel into our glasses, and then we were told about this thing called, I cannot remember, it's called like Belvoir. It's not called Belvoir, something like that, but basically the concept of mixing wine with water to make it a much more like a drink that you could have, I suppose, throughout the day, theoretically. Or to be fair, I think a lot of wine drinkers probably just drink, wine by itself the entire time, so who knows. It does make it significantly more drinkable, so or like easy to drink, I should say, not necessarily drinkable. So I would say if you're someone who doesn't like wine, but find yourself drinking it in a social situation, just like add some water to it, dilute it down. Might be more palatable to your taste. Maybe it's not. Anyway, the person taking us on tour was very sweet, and we ended up drinking with her and her like boyfriend at the time, and she was explaining to us like the spectrum of like wines that they have based on like I can't remember. I think it was like age and like the names behind them. One of them was just called Effet, but the actual swear word in Croatian, because it was basically just like it's basically giving a vibe of hashtag YOLO, life's too short, might as well just drink, which I thought was a very interesting concept, and for wine, I suppose, name. I can't remember what the others were called. I think one was called like Mr. Blue or something. That sounds right. So that was really lovely. That was a fun time. And then we went to a third one, which felt like a very, well, perhaps the most fanciest, I suppose, of a winery places that we went to. Because we started off by just like drinking liquor, which was crazy. Just like there was like 6 different flavors of liquor. Let me think. It was like loquat, walnut, fig, grape, orange, something else. I can't remember what the other one is. And the last one, which was like a medicinal flavor, which by the way was disgusting, in my opinion. Unless you like medicinal flavored liquors, I would not really recommend drinking it. But the walnut one, the loquat one, was very, very good. I think the fig one was also pretty good. But yeah, they're basically just sort of these liquors which we drank, and I actually bought a couple to bring home. Yeah, we just started off with some liquors, and by this time we're getting very, very, tipsy. Like we sampled like 4 types of wine, I think, in the first place, and then 5 or 6 types of wine in the second place, which was, I had like a glass from each of them. So, I'm quite a few glasses, not huge glasses, but small glasses. So I'm still probably down. Like, I probably drank a bottle or something of wine for every day, which I would not recommend. Obviously, there was a sort of like extraneous circumstance, which is they told us actually it was like it's very common for like wine tasters to be like just put it in their mouth, swirl it around, and taste it like that, and then spit it out afterwards. And I was like, I don't need to do that. I'm here to drink wine. And then it turns out to be, and that was a lot of wine. Like even for me, like I have quite a high tolerance for alcohol, so I can drink quite a lot of wine. But that was a lot of wine. I was even told by my friend afterwards, it was like, oh yeah, you seemed like pretty tipsy when you came back to the thing. And I was like, yeah, I felt pretty tipsy. Not like so much I couldn't do anything, but very much where I was just like, my mind definitely cannot think straight. So yeah, we started off with like a load of liquors, and then we went on to like more different types of wine, and he was a pretty cool person to talk with, and he also gave us like bread and olive oil, and apparently I don't know if the olive oil was like particularly fantastic in my taste, not to say that it wasn't. It was just more like I couldn't really distinguish what made it so good. But then, like my other friends, we were actually going to do an olive oil tour, but then the people we tried to book it with didn't respond. But we were just like, this olive oil is amazing. And then like, they all bought one, and then one friend, I think, bought like 8 bottles of this olive oil, which is crazy. Considering it's a winery in the first place, and going here to buy olive oil feels wild. Anyway, the liquor's really nice. I remember I bought 2 of the bottles of liquor. €10 each from what I recalled. And honestly, it was a really cool experience, to be honest, going on a wine tour. 100% I would do it again. It genuinely was a lot of fun. It was essentially a lot of wine drinking, and I definitely felt a little bit out of place. Like I was like a little bit out of place in the sense that I was like, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about, but they simplified it down quite a lot, so it was very digestible and understandable. But it was very much a sense of being like, definitely if I like took a sommelier class or something, maybe I'd appreciate it more. But I also feel like a sommelier class is quite wasted on me, because again, as I say, tastes don't end up mattering too much on me. But yeah, wine tour. If you like wine, go for it. If you don't, no need, to be honest. It's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a lot of wine drinking. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this episode up here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares, greatly appreciated. Social and Discord down below. Hope you see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.